Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're taking a look at the battle for Macragge. This video is sponsored by CMO Games. More on that later. Alright, so we've got a limited time made-to-order Warhammer 40,000 Battle for Macragge, and since there's no actual pre-orders this week, I figured instead of doing our normal video, we do a quick little breakdown. I give my opinion on this now that we know the official prices, and we have until the 2nd to order it. So let's do a basic little rundown. We'll talk about it a little bit, and then I'll give you my honest opinions. All right, so the official price on this thing is $150 USD. It is made to order, which means it could take up to 180 days to dispatch it. So 6 months from when you order it, you'll have it, theoretically sooner. And then here we see everything in the set. So we have the crashed Aquila lander spaceship terrain, 5 pieces in total. We have like a couple little pieces of accessories, sprues, like terrain kind of stuff. And then we have a 10-man tactical squad. We have the Imperial Pilot. We have 8 Spore Mines, the Infestation Node markers, 6 Genestealers, and 10 Termagants. So for me, the reason I think Games Workshop brought this back is for nostalgia reasons. A lot of people, this was their first set, or this was a set that they had over the years and might not have anymore. So I like the idea of them reprinting stuff. As far as this actual set, and do I think this is a good reprint? No, I think this one is terrible. I think it's a terrible set in general. I think it's priced too high, and I think it's the absolute worst possible timing. So let's go ahead and break that down. So we just got a brand new range refresh and game edition. So part of that range refresh was brand new Termagant models, and these Termagant models compared to those, these are absolutely terrible. And even if you think somehow that these models are better than the new ones, you can pick these up for literally pennies because nobody wants them anymore because you're in the minority. So the Termagants are basically valueless. On to the Genestealers. Same thing. You get 6 Genestealers in this set, which used to not be that big a deal because you could field like random numbers of Genestealers, but now you have to take them in increments. So if you're going to take 5 or 10 Genestealers, you're either going to end up with 1 too many or 4 too few. We also just got brand new Genestealer models, which are absolutely amazing. Again, even if you're in the minority and you love these Genestealer models, you're like the only one. And again, you can pick them up for pennies on the dollar. And then those actually, the old ones come with the infestation markers. I could see how that would be cool for people because, you know, they're neat little pieces that you can use for like terrain or basing. But again, you can pick up these Genestealers for literally pennies on the dollar. So the whole Tyranid half is basically useless with the exception of the Spore Mines. Spore Mine models are not bad. They actually like hold up pretty decent. But again, we just got brand new Spore Mine models and they come with the Biovore. So realistically, the entire Tyranid half of this set, in my opinion, is borderline valueless. And if you really wanted to pick it all up, you could probably pick up everything in this set Tyranid-wise, maybe with the exception of the Spore Mines because they're a little tougher to get, for like literally like $20 to $50 maximum. So definitely not much value here, not much desire for anyone, especially me, to own that. So on to the Space Marines. There's really not even that much here. So for the Space Marines, it's 2 5-man squads or 1 10-man tactical squad, a sergeant, a missile launcher, a flamer, and a bunch of just generic guys. At the time, these sculpts weren't bad, but now we have Primaris Marines. Firstborn Marines are going away basically, or like super dated. And even if you were going to take Firstborn Marines, you would want to take them with like actual good equipment, which these don't have. So again, in my opinion, they're basically valueless. We just got a bunch of awesome new stuff for Space Marines. Not really tactical squads, but there's just nothing here. So again, completely useless. Now the Imperial Pilot, he's a pretty cool model. He's hard to get. There's some other models that are kind of like comparative to him, but not really. You could argue maybe like the Novice Breachers or maybe like the Pilot from the Knight kit, like the Canis Rex kit are probably like the closest thing that you're going to get to him. But I think he's the rarest miniature in the set, the hardest to get, the most desirable. Maybe you could say like the Sergeant as well. But again, I just don't see it. It's not like there's some like cool stat line and you got to pick up this model and you could easily make a much cooler conversion in my opinion. So you're either picking him up because he's rare and you want to have him or for nostalgia reasons. So essentially all the models in this set, in my opinion, are close to like valueless and there's really no reason that I or most people would even want to have them. So that brings us on to basically the terrain, which I think if Games Workshop would have just reprinted the terrain, I probably would have picked it up for like 75 bucks or something like that. I think it's hard to say that they're going to sell this kit for $150, but if they sold the terrain by itself, they would sell that for $100, in which case maybe still it would be worth picking up. But I think that's the real value in this set is the crashed Aquila stuff. And to tell you the truth, this kind of terrain is not that great. The kind of like area terrain, sort of like crater-esque scatter terrain. It doesn't serve nearly as much of a purpose in like current edition of 40K. I do think it's pretty cool overall. I definitely like it. I don't own it anymore. I've had a couple sets of it over the years and just got rid of it. I do have like some of this scatter terrain stuff right here, which is kind of cool. Actually, these are like neat for like a diorama or like adding on to like a piece of terrain or something like that. But overall, I think that's the only real value in the set. And had they sold it separately for like 75 bucks or something like that, arguably even 100, it might be worth picking up. But the idea that there's $150 worth of value in the set is pretty laughable to me. So if the whole set was priced at 100 bucks, maybe you can make a stronger argument for it. If the terrain was sold on its own for somewhere like 75 to 100 bucks, maybe you can make an argument on it. But with all the new tyranids and all the new Space Marine stuff that's come out recently and just over the years, it's just a bunch of models that nobody really wants, with the exception of the Imperial Pilot. So for me, this is bad timing because we just got a bunch of these new models. It's a bad set. They could have literally reprinted like anything and it would have been better than this. There's tons of awesome terrain that people are paying up for like crazy. That's super rare, super hard to get, and much cooler than this that I personally would have rather seen. And I think a lot of people would agree with that. So overall, I gotta say, this is pretty much the worst set they could have reprinted. It's overpriced. And there's not really much here that most people would want. And to tell you the truth, I've seen the actual terrain from the set, brand new, going on eBay, you know, like still not base coated or painted or anything like that, for like 75 to 100 bucks. And that's not like a new thing either. It's been like that for years. So it's hard for me to build a case for anything in this set. But obviously, that's my opinion. I told you guys right off the bat when this was announced that I didn't think it was a good idea. Again, it's bad timing. It's overpriced. At the time when the set came out, I think it was under $150. I think it was closer to like 100 bucks, but also that was a long time ago. So rather than trying to compare what the price was back then to what the price is now, because of course it's going to be more expensive now. Everything just gets more expensive over time, especially Games Workshop products. I think it's better to compare it to like what you could actually get now for around the same price, or what would be like a comparable set. So let's jump over here to the shop, and then we'll go to Warhammer 40,000, and then we're going to go to start here. And this would be probably like the most comparable set of the actual starter sets that Games Workshop offers right now. It's the only one that comes with terrain. So this is the ultimate starter set, and this would be like the most comparable. This is 210 bucks. So it's $60 more than the Battle for Macragge set. It comes with a decent amount of terrain, and actually like pretty good terrain. And then it comes with 2 full combat patrols. Also comes with the actual like rule book, comes with all of your cards and everything, some dice, some rulers. So for me, if I was going to drop, you know, $150 to, in this case, $210 on a new set, or an old set for that matter, and I wanted a bunch of models, I wanted some terrain, and I wanted to actually use it, this is what I would buy. So let's take a look at what's actually in this set, just in comparison. All right, so like I said, you're going to get the rule book, which is pretty cool, obviously. You're going to get the data sheet cards, a couple little like generic dice and rulers, but realistically, none of that stuff comes in the Battle for Macragge set. So we're really just comparing like the terrain and the models. So is this terrain as good as the Crash Aquila stuff? Well, it's more functional in actual game turns. You have like a large hill-like piece, which is basically like a line of sight blocking piece of terrain. You get a bunch of these palisades as well, which are like functional terrain in the game. So I've got to say this terrain is at least as good as the Crash Aquila. It's maybe not as iconic. It's definitely a little bit easier to get a hold of. But if you were to pick this up, it's basically around like 75 bucks or something like that. So price-wise, it's pretty comparable. So then what about the models? Well, with this set, you get 2 combat patrols. So 2 like functional 500-point armies, basically. Now, you get 5 Infernus Marines, no tactical Marines, obviously. You get 5 Terminators, and then you get 2 characters, the Terminator Librarian, and then also the Terminator Captain. So you basically have like a playable 500-point army that's pretty freaking good. The Space Marine Combat Patrol is awesome, and we have played a lot of Combat Patrol, and they have like a 95% win ratio. So comparing this to like 10 Tactical Marines and an Imperial Pilot, 100% I would much rather have this. Also, if you were just going to pick up the Combat Patrol on its own, which is crazy, don't ever do that, at least for the Space Marines, because it's completely overpriced. It's $160 for these models. So more than that entire Battle for Macragge set. So basically everything after the Space Marine Combat Patrol is just gravy. Now a quick message from today's sponsor. CMO Games has been selling Games Workshop products online for over 20 years. They carry the full line of Games Workshop products, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda, Blood Bowl, paint tools, and more. Almost all Games Workshop products are priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games takes pre-orders for most Games Workshop products released at their earliest date possible. 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, they go live. Most of these pre-order products are also priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games offer free shipping in the US 48 with an order of $50 or more. Their customer service is top-notch, and they ship most orders within 24 hours. Visit CMOGames.com using the affiliate link in the description and let them know that you heard about CMO Games from Warhammer Man. Now, back to the video. So then you have the Tyranid Combat Patrol, which includes 20 of the new Termagants, which are far better than the old Termagants. You get the Van Ryan's Leapers, which are awesome models. You get a couple of Ripper Swarms, 5 Barbagants, the Psychophage, and then also the Prime with wings. So again, you get a fully playable Combat Patrol army that would normally cost you $160 instead of 10 Termagants, 6 Genestealers, and a couple of Infestation Nodes and Spore Mines. So again, the Tyranids are far superior to what comes in that set. So even if you say that the terrain is equal or slightly worse, you get an actual playable set. You get a substantially better Space Marine force. You get a substantially better Tyranid force, and it's about $60 more. 2 fully playable armies, everything you need to play the game. No nostalgia, but for me, this is the way you go. You buy the Warhammer 40,000 Ultimate Starter Set, you throw the nostalgia in the trash can with the Battle for Macragge set, and you move on with your life. So that's it. That's my honest review. That's my honest opinion. What price would the Battle for Macragge set have to have been priced at for it to be worth it? I think like $100. And even then, I think you're just buying it for the terrain, and then you just end up with a bunch of old models that nobody really wants. They have almost no resale value and just more gray plastic stacked up in your pile of shame. So let me know what you think down below. Always like to hear back from you guys. You know, this is just my opinion on it. I basically wasn't excited for the Battle for Macragge set when I saw it was announced. I do like the idea that they're reprinting stuff. I think that is absolutely great. It's definitely awesome that they're reprinting stuff because that means that they're going to probably reprint more stuff in the future. And even though I don't love this set that they're reprinting, I know that there's a ton of other stuff that I would buy if they reprinted it, even if it did come back at a higher price than it was originally offered for. So in my opinion, I think they should reprint either older stuff that's like hard to get or rare, or some of the newer stuff that's actually cool and desirable. Whether it's like Sector Imperialis terrain, some of the faction terrain pieces, or some of the bigger pieces like the Aquila Strongpoint or the Fortress of Redemption. The Void Shield Generator, any of that stuff would have been way cooler than just reprinting the old Battle for Macragge set. But obviously, that's just my opinion. You guys, let me know what you think down below. Are you going to be picking up the set? What do you think of the $150 price tag on it? Always like to hear back from you guys in the comments. I'm also curious, is anybody actually going to be picking this up? And if you are picking up, are you buying it just for the terrain? Are you buying it just for the Imperial Pilot? Or are you actually excited about this stuff so you can build it, paint it, and play with it? Or are you just buying it so that you have it because you're a collector, because the nostalgia is kind of pulling at your heartstrings, and you're just going to put it on a shelf somewhere and probably never touch it? Always like to hear back from you guys in the comments. Special thanks, as always, to CMO Games for sponsoring not only this video, but every video on the channel this year. And as a smaller creator in the space, for most people without a channel, you have no idea how much it actually means to have a sponsor that regularly sponsors, or in this case, sponsors every single one of my videos. That type of support means more to me and my family than almost anything else that someone can do. So if you really want to show your support, whether you're going to be picking up some last minute stuff or all through next year, the best way to show your support for me and also for CMO Games is to use the link in the description. I don't get anything extra from you guys using it, no percentage of the buys or anything like that. But the fact of the matter is, that's a great way for CMO to reflect that their sponsorship money is justified. So as always, link in the description down below. Save 15% on Games Workshop products with free shipping inside the continental United States. And a special thank you to CMO Games and all the people that used that link throughout the year and showed their support to not only me, but them as well. And as the year wraps up, I'm super excited for what's to come in 2024, not only for Games Workshop and all the products and awesome games that we love, but for the channel and growth and what's to come. That's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man, and I'm out of here.